Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Elizibar. This is the comic book story of video games. Now, this was a Christmas present I got. And so, since it was a Christmas present, I kind of prioritized reading this over pretty much anything else I could be reading. And I got hooked. I started reading it, and I made it, through the first chapter, and then I had to stop reading it for a minute, and I didn't want to. I wanted to keep going. So it's exactly what it sounds. It's the story of video games. It's a history, the incredible history of the electronic game revolution. There's the people that worked on it, Jonathan Hennessy and Jack McGowan. That name, Jack McGowan, sounds familiar for some reason. Hold on, hey, look at that. Now, I'm looking at what it says there. It doesn't ring a bell to me, but it doesn't really matter. So it's a comic book that's also history. Now, this isn't the only comic book I have like this. I got Logic Comics over here. Let me grab this off my shelf. Assuming I don't accidentally drop it or something. There we go. And it's about logic and philosophy. Bertrand Russell. It's basically a biography of him. It's a really fantastic piece of work, and I might review it sometime. I'd have to reread it because it's been, gosh, probably close to a decade since I read it. But it's an absolutely fantastic piece of work. This is a pretty good piece of work, too. It's in the same vein. It's not biographical, but it's historical. And they're little mini biographies of people. It starts where the story has to, with definitions. What is a video game versus what is an electronic game? And then you have to start building up to it. So you get like little teeny tiny mini biographies of people, what they worked on. For instance, this fine fellow here, he took a cathode ray tube, and he realized he can deflect the beam with a magnet, which means the cathode rays are charged, obviously, but you can see the next innovation this book does. Not only does it present stuff in this fun kind of comic format, and it's very mimetic. It never stops being funny. There's always a joke or a sly reference or a comic book character inserted into a scene in an incongruous way. So the book is irreverent, but it's fun, and it really pulls you in. And it incorporates video game elements. Not only are there things like video game covers, like if I flip far enough back over here, I see like the Breakout Machine, Tetris, Halo, Final Fantasy VII, all that kind of stuff gets covered in here. It talks about how the different approaches that different companies took as they were trying to sell this stuff. It introduces the different personalities, their aims, the things they were trying to do, the people that were paying for it, the people that were backing it, the history of what makes this industry function. And it all starts in the 1850s with guys playing around with vacuum tubes and cathode rays. This guy's like he's a physicist but also kind of a mysticist. Is one of the last ones. There were not many physicists that were also mysticists. And of course, those vacuum tubes, or cathode ray tubes, whatever you want to call them, they were invented by this guy. And they point out like, and he had the odd mix of talents of glass blowing and physics. That's not true. I can blow glass, at least as far as like the kind of laboratory glass that a scientist would need. It's not actually that hard as long as you have the tools for it. Granted, I'm very impatient and I never let anything anneal as long as I should have. You get Charles Babbage and Ada Lovelace. I tried to combine their names there real quick, which went funny. John von Neumann. Like, you have all these people that are pioneers in computers. They get mentioned. The political situation, that all this stuff, the background for how it was evolving, the way it influenced us, it's here. Where these technologies come from, where they go. It all gets covered in the course of this. It's absolutely fantastic. And, of course, you spend some time with people like Nolan Bushnell, and you just have a great, great time. And the whole way you're going, you're learning stuff at the same time. My only real complaint about the book is sometimes it's hard to tell who somebody is from the way they're portrayed. For instance, when Eisenhower shows up early on in the part that's set in the 50s, and it's talking about the military-industrial complex, how that drove technology, da-da-da-da-da. It's talking about like Bell Labs and the space race, and well, Eisenhower shows up. And if it didn't tell me it was Eisenhower, I wouldn't have known it was Eisenhower. Some are easier to pick out. Let's flip over to like the Nintendo section, I guess. Probably be a good place to go. Or maybe I should just find Lord British. Hold on. Yeah, let's find Lord British. Everybody should know Lord British. Oh, it's a hoot. Like, there's the Twin Galaxies Arcade, Walter Day. Like, if it's something that should be a touchstone that somebody probably should at least know the name of, they show up. Like, this is obviously Lord British. Not only can you tell by this, but that's what Richard Garriott looks like. I'll never find Eisenhower on the page he's in, so I'm not going to flip to it. But that's really the only negative I have. The history is otherwise more or less on point. The narrative is well told and fun. Oh, you know what? I got to absolutely find you a panel that does exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, here. Let's just flip over. They're talking about like Bally before they were part of Bally Midway. Halo. Boom. There's all these little incongruities that are just fun references. I think I caught all of them, but I probably didn't. Oh, like we got Battletoads. Like, they're all here. If it's a video game thing, and it's pretty popular from within the last 30 years, the character's probably represented in this book somewhere. Sonic's in there, Mario's in there, and they have to be. They have to be. They're that important to the story, to the history of video games. If you're interested at all in this, in the history of video games, this is the book. Just stop whatever you're doing and go buy this. It was definitely worth it. Now, of course, I can say that, because technically I paid $0 for this, so it had infinite value per dollar for me. But I think even if I'd paid the retail price of, like $18 or something, let's see, $18.99 American, this would have been worth it. I eat this kind of stuff up. I like history. I like the caricatures of people. When they're done right, the people are very well done, or very nice looking, like they look like they're supposed to. And I think I already said the history is like more or less right. I'm sure the history could be better. And there's a few places where the book kind of shows the author's, I think, his leanings in terms of politics. But accepting for that, it's good stuff. It's relatively unbiased. I gotta be careful because I don't know enough about Ralph Baer to really know just how unbiased the book is in its treatment of him. So there's probably some bias, but that's also a human quality. Anytime a human being is writing something, their biases sneak into whatever they're writing. It's a just perfectly normal thing. It's not like new and crazy. That's just how journalism is. And this is kind of what journalism is supposed to be. It's, hey, here's a bunch of information. It's presented in an entertaining and informative way. And we're going to inject a little bit of our own bias to it because we're humans and we can't not do that. Anything that just gives you like boring facts is not human. And having written a PhD thesis that was nothing but boring facts, I guess I'm not human, but whatever. So check this out. If you're interested in history, if you're interested in video games, if you're interested in seeing how comics can be used for something other than fiction, check this out. It is definitely a surprise to me how good this was, but it really was. It was just that good. You all take care of yourselves. You have a great day. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hope I didn't show too much of this book and I don't get a copyright strike or something, because I always worry about that when I'm showing off comic books. But ultimately, my goal is to share my experience with you about what I think about these books, and I hope I pulled that off. And I hope I've at least piqued your interest a little bit in this. If I didn't, well, thank you for hanging out with me anyway. And actually, everybody, thank you for hanging out with me. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.